Welcome, brave ones. Here, we don't just watch horror animation. We peel back the skin of each story to expose the rot beneath, share perspectives, and connect through the darkness. This isn't only my analysis. It's our space to question, to discuss, and to build a community that finds meaning in fear. Tonight, we dive into a story set in a luxurious bar where beauty, wealth, and desire collide. A young woman, on the edge of turning 25, meets Rio, a famous actor whose body produces gold and pearls with every indulgence, a miracle that soon twists into a nightmare of vanity and betrayal. As you watch, ask yourself, how far would you go for fortune, and what would you sacrifice for love? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, share this with the fearless, and tap super thanks if you support this dark journey.
You're great, but I don't date women over 25. Sorry, sweetie.
When the news broke about Rio's breakup with his 25-year-old model girlfriend, I didn't think much of it. It was just another headline in the endless cycle of celebrity drama. But now here I am, sitting beside him at a bar that smells like expensive perfume and ambition, his eyes locked on me like I'm the most fascinating thing he's seen all night.
Oh, so tomorrow's your birthday?
He says, his voice smooth as silk.
25, huh? Tonight's your last night at 24. Let's make it unforgettable.
I'm not the kind of girl who belongs in places like this. My friend dragged me along as a +1, and I've spent most of the evening feeling out of place in my borrowed dress. But here's Rio, an S-tier celebrity, his smile dazzling under the low lights, choosing me. When he invites me back to his suite, I don't even hesitate. The room is breathtaking, a palace of glass and gold perched high above the city. Rio pours us champagne, and the tension between us crackles. Everything about him seems surreal. His perfect hair, his gleaming smile, the way he moves like he owns not just the room, but the world. That's when I noticed it. A strand of his hair fell loose as he ran a hand through it. But instead of landing softly on his shoulder or the floor, the strand shimmered, then hardened into pure gold. My breath caught.
You're staring.
He teased, leaning closer.
It's a little gift of mine.
Your hair?
Pure gold.
He interrupted, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I laughed nervously, but the strangeness only deepened. He reached for a nail clipper, trimming one of his manicured nails. The clipping hit the glass coffee table with a metallic plink. A sliver of solid gold. I froze.
Oh, that's not all,
he said, grinning like a magician about to reveal his next trick. He tilted his head back and casually flicked his nose. He placed the shimmering pearl into my hand. Is this real? I stammered, barely able to process what I was seeing.
Real as you and me.
He replied, leaning back into the plush sofa.
And if you make me happy tonight, all of it is yours. Every strand, every clipping, every pearl.
As the night went on, gold and jewels seemed to pour out of him. Quite literally. Every touch, every kiss, every moment sent shimmering treasures scattering across the room. By midnight, the floor was littered with riches. And then it happened. Rio stumbled, catching himself on the edge of a table. A sharp gasp escaped his lips as a golden gash split across his palm. But instead of blood, molten gold began to drip from the wound, pooling onto the carpet. Oh my God, I breathed, rushing to him.
It's fine. Just grab a cloth or something.
I pressed a towel to his hand, my heart pounding. The golden liquid was warm, almost alive as it seeped through the fabric. His breathing was shallow, his skin pale, but still he smiled at me. For a brief moment, I felt a strange pang of sympathy. By the time we collapse into bed, I fall asleep in his arms, the strange warmth of his body lulling me into a dreamless void. Morning came too soon. I woke to the soft hum of city traffic and the blinding sunlight streaming through the massive windows. Rio was already dressed, standing at the edge of the bed.
Happy birthday.
He said, his smile as dazzling as ever. Thank you, but his next words turned that warmth to ice.
This has been fun, but I don't date women over 25.
What?
You're great, really, but I have standards.
Anger bubbled in my chest. After everything, after last night, this was how he saw me. Just another disposable toy.
You can take all the gold and pearls.
He added, gesturing to the glittering mess on the floor.
Consider it your parting gift.
I stared at him, my mind racing. He was so smug, so sure of himself, so untouchable. My eyes landed on the corkscrew on the bedside table. Without thinking, I grabbed it and lunged. The moment the corkscrew pierced his stomach, his eyes widened in shock. But instead of blood, a torrent of gold and jewels erupted from the wound, spraying across the room like a macabre fountain. He collapsed to the floor, gasping, as the treasures kept pouring out. He falls to his knees, his hands grasping at the wound as more and more spills out. His skin cracks like porcelain, and molten gold begins to seep through the fissures.
You fool.
He gasps, his voice gurgling. I stumble back, horrified. The golden river slows, then stops, leaving Rio motionless on the floor. For one fleeting moment, I wonder if I should take the gold and run. But then the gold began to change. The shimmering strands darkened, the pearls cracking and oozing. The smell hit me first, metallic and sharp, like rust and decay. No, I whispered, stumbling back. The gold liquefied, pooling into dark red puddles. The pearls dissolved into chunks of raw, congealed flesh. The room reeked of blood, hot, sticky and overwhelming. I turned to Rio, but he was no longer the godlike figure from last night. His body was collapsing in on itself, his golden sheen fading into a grotesque mess of sinew and viscera. My hands and clothes were stained with his blood. Real blood now, not gold. The riches he had promised me had turned into a nightmare.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're shifting gears a bit. We're not digging into data or history, but something, well, maybe even more compelling.
Definitely more bizarre, I'd say.
Yeah, we've got our hands on this this fascinating story outline. It's called Golden Sugar Daddy.
Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
It does, and it's this really wild mix of like celebrity, obsession, mythology. Honestly, it gets pretty terrifying.
It really does. So our mission today, for you listening, is to dive into this story. We want to pull out the strangest plot points, try to figure out these characters' extreme motivations,
Right.
and really confront the shocking conclusion that's sort of hidden in plain sight here.
Okay, so the core idea, it's pretty straightforward, right? It's about fame, money, these very transactional relationships.
Extremely transactional.
Yeah, and all seen through this like literal modern take on King Midas, but it's darker, much darker.
The wealth is physical,
Uh,
and the standards are, well, let's just say they're deadly serious.
okay, let's jump in. Section 1, the celebrity and the standard.
Let's start with Rio and his brutal rule.
Right, so Rio, he's this huge celebrity, 52 years old, described as S tier, whatever that fully means today.
Means he's at the absolute top.
Yeah.
Untouchable almost.
Got it. And he has this non-negotiable rule. He absolutely does not date anyone 25 or older. It's a hard cutoff.
Yeah, not a preference. It's like a law for
Right.
him. And the story kicks off immediately showing this in action. He's breaking up with his girlfriend, Gigi,
The model, yes.
on her 25th birthday. It just rams home how absolute this rule is. No exceptions.
But it's how he does it. That's what takes it from, just rich guy behavior to something else entirely.
Okay, yeah, the pearl.
The golden pearl. He gives her this parting gift, but it's not from, like, Tiffany's. He pulls it out of his nose.
Ugh, right in front of her.
And then he drops the line, "You're great, but I don't date women over 25. Sorry, sweetie." It's chillingly casual.
And that detail, the pearl coming from his body, it immediately tells you the wealth isn't just money. It's him. It's physical.
Exactly. So Gigi's out, which immediately sets the stage for the next person in line, right? Enter Vic.
Right. So Vic, she's our protagonist. We meet her the night before her 25th birthday. She's at this fancy bar, feeling awkward in a borrowed dress.
You can already feel the clock ticking for her, can't you? She's right on the edge of Rio's cutoff.
And Rio naturally spots her. He seems to have radar for this kind of situation. Maybe vulnerability, maybe ambition.
And his seduction line, it's not exactly smooth charm, is it?
No, it's pure pressure. He basically says, oh, so tomorrow's your birthday. 25, huh? Tonight's your last night at 24. Let's make it unforgettable.
Wow. It's like the whole relationship is framed by this deadline from the very first sentence.
And Vic, she doesn't even blink. This story says she goes right with him, back to his place, this palace of glass and gold.
So the allure of that status, that world, it just overrides everything, even knowing what presumably just happened to Gigi.
It seems so. She knows the deal, knows it's temporary, but she still goes. She wants that taste of the fantasy, even for just one night.
Okay, so they get back to his place, this palace of glass and gold. The setting itself sounds intense.
Yeah, it sets the stage perfectly because this is where the fantasy gets really physical
Yeah.
and really strange.
This is where the Midas touch element starts showing up in, well, unsettling ways.
Exactly. It's not just that he's rich, it's how he's rich. So they're talking, and a strand of his hair falls loose.
Okay.
But instead of just being hair, it like shimmers in the air and then clink, lands on the table as a solid piece of gold.
Whoa! Okay. That's something.
And it gets weirder. He then like casually clips his fingernails.
Oh no.
Yeah. And the little trimming doesn't just flutter off. It hits the table like a tiny gold ingot. A solid sliver of gold.
So his body is just constantly producing precious metal from hair, nails, what else?
Well, remember the nose pearl he gave Gigi?
Ugh, right. So it's like waste products, things the body sheds. That's where the gold comes from.
Seems like it. Which adds this whole layer of,
Yeah.
well, it's kind of repulsive, isn't it? The wealth is tied to bodily functions, to excess, maybe even decay.
And Rio's reaction to Vic seeing this.
Totally casual. She's obviously freaked out. But he just says, pure gold. Like he's commenting on the thread count of the sheets.
Okay, so he's not hiding it. He's owning this bizarre reality.
Owning it and weaponizing it, almost. He then offers Vic another pearl from his nose.
Oh, come on.
Yep. Cementing the idea that this is just how he operates. This is the source of the wealth.
So then comes the explicit bargain, right? He lays out the term.
Exactly. He basically tells her, if you make me happy tonight, all of it is yours. Every strand, every clipping, every pearl.
So the deal is, stay 24, make him happy, and you get literally showered in gold generated by his body.
The stakes are incredibly high and incredibly weird. A gold rush. But the mine is him. For one night.
And she takes the deal.
She does. And the story describes the night progressing. And the gold just keeps coming. It says gold and jewels literally pour out of him.
How? Like with every touch, every movement?
Yeah, seemingly. Every interaction generates more wealth. The room just gets covered in it, scattered everywhere.
It sounds like a dream, but knowing this story, there has to be a catch, right? A downside to being made of gold.
Oh, there is. We get the first glimpse of the course, not just the gift. Rio stumbles at one point.
Okay.
He catches himself on a table edge, gasps in pain, and when he pulls his hand back,
Don't tell me.
a gash on his palm, but it's not bleeding red. It's dripping molten gold.
Molten gold, like liquid.
Yeah, thick, sluggish,
Yeah.
pooling on the carpet. The story describes it as warm, almost alive.
Wow. So his blood is gold. That's terrifying. It means any injury.
It's potentially catastrophic. And it suggests his life force is this metal.
What does Vic do? Does she run?
No, interestingly, the story notes she rushes over, presses a towel to the wound, and it says she feels a strange pang of sympathy.
Sympathy. Or maybe just fear that the gold mine is breaking down.
That's a good question. The story frames it as sympathy, maybe a brief moment of seeing the person suffering inside the golden shell.
A flicker of humanity before the transaction kicks back in.
Exactly, because that moment passes, and then the morning comes.
Vic's 25th birthday. The deadline.
And the whole atmosphere shifts instantly. Rio is already up, dressed, looking immaculate. completely detached.
Oh boy, here comes.
He just puts down his champagne glass, looks at her, and delivers the lines. This has been fun, but I don't date women over 25. Just like that.
Cold, after everything, after the molten gold incident.
Older than ice. The contract is void. Time's up.
And the gold, all this stuff that accumulated overnight.
He gestures to it. The whole glittering mess on the floor. You can take all the gold and pearls, he says. Consider it your parting gift.
So the fortune means nothing to him. It's as disposable as she is now that she's hit 25.
Precisely. The wealth is just a byproduct of the system. When the condition isn't met, the person is discarded, and the byproduct is just collateral, left behind.
Okay. I can see how that would snap something in Vic, realizing she was just a consumable, a toy with an expiration date.
That's the breaking point described in the story. The rage just boils over. All that gold suddenly means nothing compared to the humiliation.
And she does something drastic.
She does. She grabs the nearest object, which happens to be.
A corkscrew from the bedside table. Seriously.
Yep, a simple, everyday corkscrew. And she lunges at him.
Wow. Okay. That's a choice. A domestic tool turned into a weapon against this mythological figure.
And the result is instantaneous and horrific.
Does he bleed gold again?
Not just bleed. The moment the corkscrew pierces his stomach, it's not a trickle. It's an eruption. A violent torrent of gold and jewels sprays out.
Oh my God. Like a fountain.
Like a macabre fountain is how the story puts it, just spraying across the room.
In Rio.
He collapses. But it's not clean. His skin starts cracking, like porcelain shattering. And molten gold seeps out through these cracks.
Is he dying?
He manages one last gasp. But you fool! And then he's still. The wealth literally bursting out of him as he breaks apart.
That's unbelievably grotesque, but is that the end? Just a pile of broken gold?
No. This is where the story delivers its final, most disturbing twist. The Midas curse fully inverts.
What do you
As the torrent slows, the treasure itself begins to change. It doesn't just stop being valuable, it transforms.
transforms into what?
The gold strands darken, turn dull. The pearls crack open, but instead of shimmering powder, they ooze.
Ooze what?
The story is very specific. It turns into dark red puddles and chunks of raw, congealed flesh.
No, you're kidding. It turns into body parts.
Essentially, blood and tissue.
I
The
mean-
fantasy wealth decays instantly into gore.
That's horrifying. Is there like a smell?
Oh yeah, the smell hits Vic. Metallic and sharp like rust and decay. It confirms it. The gold has become real blood. Sticky, overwhelming biological reality.
So the magic, the curse, it wasn't just creating gold. It was somehow holding back this rot.
It seems like the gold was his life force, but a corrupted, unstable version. Once that container was breached violently, it reverted to its most raw, mortal components, death and decay.
So Vic is left standing there, not in a room full of riches.
But in a slaughterhouse, covered in actual blood and viscera. The promised treasure transformed into a complete nightmare the second she broke the rule, the second she violated the transaction.
Wow, okay. Let's try and process that ending. Synthesize this a bit.
Well, connecting the dots, the story uses this extreme, fantastical element, the body literally made of gold, to make a pretty brutal point, doesn't it?
About what? Celebrity? Relationships?
About how these transactional, high-status relationships, built on these incredibly arbitrary and cruel standards, are fundamentally unstable. The value, the gold, only exists as long as the rule is obeyed.
So the wealth, the glamour, it was entirely conditional on Rio's age limit.
Exactly. The moment Vic turned 25, and especially the moment she reacted violently against being discarded, the magic didn't just stop, it inverted.
Yeah.
The fantasy retroactively revealed itself as volatile, as just stored up mortality, basically.
The gold wasn't solid value, it was just borrowed time, borrowed life. That instantly turns rotten when the deal breaks.
Yeah, it reverts immediately to blood and flesh, the raw materials of death, the instant the system collapses under violence.
Which brings us to that final provocative thought for you listening at home. The story goes into such detail about how the treasure changes. It doesn't just vanish. It doesn't stay gold.
Right, it becomes blood, gore, rot, visceral, undeniable death. So the question to ponder is, what's the specific meaning behind that transformation? Why turn into that right at the moment of violence?
What does that extreme shift from ultimate fantasy wealth to ultimate biological horror really say about the hidden cost, the true price of playing the game by those kinds of inhuman rules?
Perhaps the most disturbing part of this story isn't the gold, the pearls, or even the blood. It's the truth hidden underneath. Wealth and beauty are illusions, and when the mask slips, all that remains is decay. Maybe the real horror is how easily desire can blind us until we can't see the monster in front of us or within ourselves. What did you think of this video? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if there's a horror animation you want me to analyze next, let me know below or send it my way. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tap super thanks to keep this dark journey alive. Until next time, stay in the shadows.